Detective Somerset. I'm Detective Mills.
David Fincher's Seven used a post-production technique that involves skipping the bleaching step during film processing, resulting in a high-contrast, desaturated look. This look can add a sense of grit and atmosphere to a film or video and is often used to give a more stylized and edgy visual aesthetic. In the earlier tutorial, we delved into a well-known technique to recreate the Bleach Bypass look in Resolve. The best part is that the customization options are endless. The possibilities are limitless, from adjusting the intensity of the effect to fine-tuning the color balance and contrast. In part 2 of the Fincher's Bypass look, we will explore the nature of the color elements of a typical Bleach Bypass look. We'll use this shot as a reference for our color development. It offers perfect characteristics to study and rebuild a color model that replicates Fincher's classic look. So, first of all, let's go ahead and apply Color Space Transform, CST, on the node. Then convert the shot's ARRI color space to Rec. 709 by selecting Input Gamma Space as ARRI Wide Gamut 3, Input Gamma Space as ARRI Log C3, Output Color Space as Rec. 709, and Output Gamma as Gamma 2.4, so that the footage looks neutral on our screen. And then, of course, we're going to rename it as CST. To achieve the Bleach Bypass look first, we will go ahead and right-click on the CST node and add a serial node before it. Now, go ahead and right-click on the same node and add a Layer Mix node. So in our timeline, you can notice that the Layer Mixer node makes a second node under our current node. In this node, we are going to simply reduce the saturation of the image to make it look completely desaturated. Then go ahead and right-click on the mixer and select the composite mode as Hard Light. You can see that this is a pretty good start to creating a Bleach Bypass look on your footage. Moving ahead, now let's go ahead and create a node just before our existing nodes, and from this node will help us tweak the signal before it's put through the Bleach Bypass process. To fix the over-contrasty shadows, we will go into Log Adjustment in our Adjustment node and then adjust the lower shadows and thus the overall contrast of the image. As we do that, you will notice that the details in the crushed blacks are restored on the image. Let's go ahead and rename this node as an Adjustment node. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to select all the nodes except our Out CST node and create a compound node by right-clicking on the selected cluster nodes and then renaming it as Bleach Bypass Look. We can add the node before this for further adjustment. Now, let's compare this with a Brad Pitt still from David Fincher Film 7. You can see that there's a major tint shift in the overall look, and the only thing that is saturated is skin tone, and the rest everything is desaturated and tinted towards green. In our quest to perfectly emulate the look of David Fincher's classic Film 7, let's inquire a little bit deeper into the color palette of our reference still. This can be done by using the Palette tool from the Effects library. To utilize the Color Palette Creator, we simply need to drag and drop it onto our reference image. Now we can use the generated palette for further look creation. Then we are going to grab a still and we are going to rename the still as Reference. After this, navigate to the Edit page and there we are going to click on the toolbox. Inside it, there are generators and we are going to use the generator to generate a grayscale gradient. As we drag and drop it, we are immediately going to convert it into a compound node because if we do not, then it's not going to show up on the color page as footage. So once we are done doing that, go back to a color page and grab a still from our ARRI test shot and apply it on our compound gradient node. Note that we are going to disable the CST node because the gradient itself is in the Rec. 709 profile, so there is no use to convert it to Rec. 709 again from ARRI because it's not in an ARRI color space. Once we have done that, we're going to add another node after the Bleach Bypass compound node and we're going to name it Look Tint. While we are still working on our gradient, we can select the reference still and arrange it on the viewer, in a way that we can see Fincher's Film 7 color palette along with the gradient. Then go ahead and use the Offset tool to add the overall tint to our gradient. We're going to shift the colors in overall greener and colder space and a little towards the color cyan, so that it mimics the color palette of our still image. Once you are satisfied with the match according to your aesthetic senses, we are going to copy this and come back to our ARRI shot, and we are going to create another node after the Bleach Bypass node and paste our current changes to the ARRI test shot node. You will notice that the ARRI test image looks way greener as compared to the still of the David Fincher film 7. To fix this, firstly we have to saturate the red areas in the test image to make them appear devoid of the green cast. Secondly, we are going to desaturate everything that is not red. So, we're going to add the node just before our look tint node in the ARRI test shot image, and we're going to rename it as Reds. Then we are going to go to our Color Warper tool, and we are going to increase our grid size to 12, and we are going to select the innermost 3 dots, which are basically lying between yellow to red hue stems. Go ahead and grab the dots. Once you get hold of it, move them away from the center until the skin tone matches in terms of hue with our reference image's talent skin tone. Once we are done doing that, we are going to add another node after the look tint node, and we are going to name it Desaturate, because we have to desaturate everything that is not red as per our reference image. And in this node, again, go to the Color Warper tool and increase the grid size to 12, and then we're going to select everything from the same saturation circle, apart from these 3 dots that we selected initially. Then, we're going to go ahead and use the saturation slider to reduce the saturation of all the other hues. And once we are happy with the desaturation and it looks close to our reference image, we're going to create a compound node of all of these 3 nodes, and we're going to call them Look. And now, the last step for creating Fincher's Bypass look. Go ahead and add another node after the Look compound node, and then in the Effects tab, go and hit on the grain. We're going to drop our grain presets, and in the preset, we are going to go ahead and select 35mm 200T, and we are just going to increase our grain strength, just a bit. This makes our film grain a little bit more visible. And then we're going to come down to our advanced control, and we are going to reduce the grain in shadows and highlights to 0.147 and 0.331 precisely. That's because we would want lesser grains in highlights and shadows. And that's pretty much it. Then go ahead and rename this node as Grain. So, all you have to do now is compare the still from the Fincher's film 7 with our ARRI test shot. You can see that we have sort of created a Fincher's look here, and we're going to grab a still and we're going to use it as a PowerGrade for other shots. As you can see, we have some test shots over here. Let's put our grades to the test. We are just going to go ahead and right-click on our ARRI test shot still PowerGrade, and we are going to hit Apply Grade. Now you can see the shot on our timeline has become too contrasty. This is because our current footage is in Red Gamma 4 profile. So we're going to apply a CST node on it. And on it, we're going to tell the Resolve that the input color space is Red Color 4, input gamma is Red Gamma 4, and the output color space is ARRI Log. The reason we are going to do this is because our look is made to expect an ARRI Log input. Again, we're going to just go ahead and we're going to make a little bit of an adjustment in our red footage. We are just going to decrease the shadows so that the footage looks a little bit more contrasty. Once you are happy with the look, we are going to grab a still and move on to another shot over here. Go ahead and again apply the PowerGrade of this shot. There you go! It looks exactly like the still from David Fincher's film 7. Of course, you can go ahead and make more adjustments, but here's your defined look. Let's go ahead and grab a still of our current shot and apply its PowerGrade on the other shot. There you go! Perfectly matched. Let's go to another shot and follow the same process. You will see that we have retained the high contrast and desaturated look just like David Fincher's film 7. Now, in our last shot, after applying our Bleach Bypass look, you can go ahead and manipulate the final look, if you're not happy with the skin tones. You just have to go in the Look compound node and, in the Color Warper tool, you can pull up your reds a little bit more by grabbing these 3 dots. You can also use a saturation slider to add a little bit of red back to your image and your skin tones and things that are red in the scene. And there you have it, an awe-inspiring look, brought to life through the magic of the Bleach Bypass effect in DaVinci Resolve. with the endless stylish David Fincher cinema serving as our esteemed reference image. Bravo! That's it for this video. We have reached the conclusion of this tutorial on creating a Bleach Bypass look in DaVinci Resolve. We have successfully crafted a Bleach Bypass look that captures the mood and atmosphere of Seven, adding a touch of Fincher's signature style to our own footage. We hope you will feel inspired to experiment with the Bleach Bypass effect in your own work. Until next time, farewell and keep creating. Stay tuned and subscribe to our brand new series of tutorials that will help you to create and extract more out of the Resolve and create even more manipulated and sophisticated imagery. Make sure to sign up for our newsletter, subscribe and click on the bell icon, and follow us on Instagram @colorist.factory to stay updated on our PowerGrade release.